Crazy mood tonight. My first guest is a good friend. He's an ingenious man when it comes to comedy. He's just recorded an album with, get this, who do you think with? Richard Burton.
Wow.
Of The Little Prince, which will be released, we'll find out when it's going to be released. Would you welcome Johnny Winters? Jonathan?
Thank you.
The moment I thought you got out the old Army uniform there for a second.
Well, I was in my basement when I got the call. And so I dropped everything. Right. There were some squirrels and some things caught in the vent. And so I said, just stay where you are, gang.
You spend a lot of time in that basement, because that's where you do all your painting.
That's where I do all my... Yeah. I'll do a lot of meditating down there.
Yeah.
Which is thinking about jobs, really. And,
they don't have many basements in California. You're from the Midwest, like Ohio.
True.
I'm from Nebraska, and every house had a basement. There was something secure.
That's right.
And give you a feeling of strength, and you go down to the basement to meditate or fool around.
That's very true. There are very few basements out here in California. Ours, when the rains do come, our basement floods, and it's always fun to go down there early in the morning to witness about that much water in the basement to see some of your favorite works of art floating. We really have watercolors very fast. And of course the furnace automatically shuts off, and I automatically don't know how to turn it on.
Are you bad at things like that around the house?
Very. I have I have no mechanical sense at all.
No, that's strange, because you're an artist, and as an artist, you should have certain proportions.
No, I know nothing about cars. I couldn't. When the thing stops, I get out and leave it. Just put a sign on it. It's yours, fella. You see what you can do with it. And guys take me left and right, with the exception of a few friends who are kind to me, who say, we'll fix it for $16.95. Most of the time, the guy just a little, his eyes light up when you say that the refrigerator's on the blink, and he says, well, I think we can handle this. And you know the guy's going to add a little section to his mobile home.
Drapes for the bedroom?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
He's going to get a color TV set at night. And I always ask the question, which is so ridiculous, what's the matter with it? And which is standard for all of us, What's the matter with it? And he never gives you a simple thing. Well, this was normally... right away, that's going to be big figures when he says normally. Normally, this would be a minor job. But I think, boy, listen, and the parts are real hard to get for this. This will run about $116.36, and I'm letting you off easy. And then he looks at his little funny partner, who is on a tight line, and the guy goes...
Right, Rudy.
Oh, boy, yeah. But I am cursed from the standpoint that I have no mechanical sense at all.
This got into basements, I don't know why, but as a kid, I remember the Midwest. That was the sanctuary.
Oh, yeah.
You'd go down, you'd make lead soldiers, or you'd have your girly magazine squirreled away in the coal bin somewhere.
Sure.
Did you ever do that when you were a kid? Put coal, shovel the coal into the old...
Yes, I had to shovel a lot of coal. And it's not much fun, really.
Yeah.
Again, you get up around 5:30 in the morning. When I was first starting in radio, I used to have to get up around 5 because the program started at 6. You got up about a quarter of 5. And we had to bank, what we call bank the coal. And
to keep it going overnight.
To keep it going. And I remember my wife, seems to me, several times came close to getting malaria because I would bank it and get it up to an all-time high of about 116. And she'd wake up, oh, my Lord, what's happening? The heat is... and this would be January or February when normally it was 5 below. And I'd say, well, sweetheart, you're in bed and I have to work, and...
Bank the furnace.
So you've got a little fever going for you. But no, I used to carry coal as a kid. I remember we had the little coal furnaces, little fireplaces.
Yeah.
And
little shuttle,
a little coal shuttle, right? And carry those up, which was...
Yeah, we come out of the same...
Oh, sure.
Right back there. Hey, tell me about this thing I mentioned about doing an album with Richard Burton.
Oh.
The Little Prince.
Well, it was very interesting. I think, of course, and I'm sure most people out there would agree that Richard Burton is one of the finest actors we've got in the world, which is a very heavy statement, but I think very true. He's a fine, fine actor and a very interesting guy. Interesting thing, or not very interesting, vice versa, you can take it either way. We're 1 day apart, same age, almost. He's 48, I'm 48. He's November 10th, and I'm November 11th. We're a couple of Scorpios, and in case you people out there are just going through some quick little pages, hey, Scorpios.
I'm Scorpio. Are you Scorpio, too? And the same age as you are.
Strange, wild people. But he came in, we started recording around 10, and Richard came in, he had a little bit of a glow on.
He does nip once in a while,
he has a little touch, apparently, now and then. And, but he was really performed very well, and we had Jim Backus was on, John Carradine, and I played, I don't know how many people are familiar with The Little Prince. It's a lovely book. It really is a beautiful little story, and good for all ages. I mean, I would imagine, I guess if you're around 58, you might be a little bored with it. Because of the pictures aren't the pictures that a 58-year-old person would want, but it's a lovely, lovely story. Yeah. I played the snake and the lamplighter, 2 parts. And
what does a snake sound like? How did you get into a snake
voice?
Interesting. I was going to say.
I did a little kind of a hiss, sort of to talk like this, and I've forgotten what voice I used for the lamplighter.
It wasn't a feminine snake.
No, I didn't use that. I remember I used that in a service one time.
Just when they said we're going overseas tomorrow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you silly.
I walked up to a full bird one time, and full colonel, and I turned to him, I said, "Isn't it an unusual day for an attack?"
Right back to the bunk. Right into the hospital there. Papers, and you're on the train going home to Ohio.
Yes, right. Very quickly. Very quickly.
I got to take a break already? We're going to come back. You got a couple of pictures here we want to talk about. Freddie said you're doing something new that I want to see.
Yes.
Some little ink drawings. But we have a word from Toyota, small car specialist for 40 years. We're back. Well, we're talking with Johnny Winters. What were we talking about? We got in your paintings, didn't we?
Talking about, working down in the basement. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people probably question it whether, I really paint in the basement, but I do. It's not a very chic place to paint, as I pointed out, but I find an interesting thing happens. A lot of artists will tell you, and it's very debatable, and probably most of the artists are right about that, that you should have a great north light and a very, very spacious studio and stand at your easel and do all these little goodies, which I find for the most part is true. That is, if your mind doesn't wander, and my mind tends to wander. So I am in very
like
small
confinement
quarters.
of the basement.
I like the confinement.
That's security.
Having been confined. And so,
not too far away from home.
Exactly. And so when you do come up out of the basement, it's a little bit of a treat, a release. And you're kind of thankful, hey, I'm not down there for...
It's like the papers have been signed and you're out,
right,
of course.
Exactly. So you're kind of an outpatient, you come and go as you please. But it's a great little place for me to work. I've
you got some new things
last
here.
night you had Don Kingman on.
Yes.
An old friend of yours, I know, and a friend of mine. And
one of the fine watercolors in the world.
He's a great guy, wonderful little guy, a great sense of humor, and he's a lot of fun and excellent.
This is new for you.
I'm working in inks. These are
we'll get a shot over there.
Various ink pens, and they really give you bright colors. That's an unusual title. It's called a whale.
A whale.
Whale with teeth.
And a very colored, multicolored whale also.
But a lot of influence by the Indians and Mexicans, the Aztecs. South Americans do a lot of, as you know, bright colors with cloth and with their artwork. This is called, what is this called? Bird with a split personality.
Bird seems logical.
Here's a religious bird standing on a religious turtle. Here's a man who hasn't got it all together. He's dressed up for something that just isn't going to come off. And, this is called a kitty who isn't paying attention. I have two more. This is pencil. This is not in. This is pencil. I don't know how much of it. This is called Hollywood Pool Man.
A little fish.
A little fish throughout his body there, and he's kind of far out with a strange little face.
You're selling fairly well, aren't you?
Oh, yeah.
Since your art show.
Fairly well. This is called An American Easter. Titles are a lot of fun. People say, well, I don't understand. Where's the bunny and the eggs and things? But there's a lot of things going on in there, and you just that's the great thing about surrealism is that you see what you want to see. And
were you influenced by Dolly or anybody?
I have always been a great admirer of Dolly's. I like.
Most people forget that he is a fine technician, and when he draws realism or does a seascape or something, it is absolutely startling.
He's a great painter. Paul Klee is another guy I've always enjoyed, and I have great respect for Magritte, René Magritte, who was a Belgian painter and surrealist who has great humor and a great painter.
What do you think of art that generally the prices nowadays has become absolutely fantastic, you know, and paintings will like the Vermeer that was just returned in Ireland for $4.5 million for one painting. People, they find it hard to put that kind of a value on something.
I'd be a little scared to own something like that. I think
hang it on your walls. Could you imagine having a $4 million painting on a wall?
Yeah. I think that the thing to do would be to build a concrete room, you know, blocks about this thick, walls, and just put the painting up on that and visit it once a month, you know, under heavy guard, and just sit there with a flashlight or just look at it, you know, and then say, okay, boys, let's go upstairs
and lock it up again.
But that's when you get up around that kind of money, boy, it's a lot of money for it.
It is incredible. Where are you going on vacation? Did you take that trip that you were talking about?
I'm going fishing tomorrow with my boy. We're going up northern California. I've got a little piece of property up there.
Now, do you paint when you're outdoors, or is that just for the basement?
I usually sketch in the evening when my boy is cruising. Driving, I guess.
He's that age, is he?
Driving around. He's 24.
Oh. Well,
I usually lie to people when people say, how old are your children? I have a boy 24 and a little girl 18. I usually say they're 5 and 6. We had them late in life. But I have a boy 24.
Well, at that age, you remember that age, don't you?
Well, you've got a kid. He's moving.
23.
Right, 23. But we're going fishing up north. We're going to go bass fishing, which is a lot of fun. And we're going to do that for a couple of days and see what happens. And if there are no fish there, then... I don't know, we'll probably go to Singapore for a few days.
Well, you always do that when the fish aren't biting, aren't you?
Yeah, when the fish aren't biting, you just throw your air travel card on the thing and let's go. But, no, I think about those people having vacations. I guess we all do. You know what? Yeah. The guy that only gets 2 weeks must be murder, you know, because...
I can remember, and I still hold my folks in great admiration for a trip they made in 1936 where they put 3 kids. So I was 11, my brother was 8, my sister was about 13, in the back seat of a 36 Ford and drove from Nebraska to Salt Lake City, up the northern route to San Francisco, down to Los Angeles, back through Phoenix, Las Vegas, Colorado, and back up, all in 2 weeks in the summer of July, with no air conditioning. That takes a lot of guts. Would you do that?
I don't know if I could cut that.
That's courage.
I'd send them on ahead. I think I'd probably meet them the last 2 days. But it's interesting because I think with a great many men, I've been fortunate. This hasn't happened to me very often, if ever. But a great many men have to satisfy their wives with the mother-in-law scene, you see, and father-in-law sometimes say. And she always says, well, I want to take my mother again this year for at least a week. Mother doesn't like it where she is, and I want to take her. And the guy's, oh, please. I suppose we're going to take your dad, too. Yes, we're going to take Dad, too. And there's always a problem with in-laws of, I didn't think we were going to go there. I don't want to go there. And that's all right if the guy would throw in some coins. But usually it's this. I seem to have left my money at home. I don't have anything. But I can remember vacations only too well. Like all of us, when we first started out, it was where to go, you know. You had about 50-mile radius, which is not too exciting in almost any area, especially back in the Middle West when you'd say, we'd go to a place like Silver Lake. And the lake was usually dried up. There were canoes just sat in the mud, you know. And a guy would pretend, you know.
We're here on vacation.
That was exciting. And the picnics and cows and this and that. And it was always, are we going to Silver Lake again? Yeah, we're going to Silver Lake again.
I remember some of those.
And the fish were just floating on top of the water.
Hey, I hope you have a good time on the vacation. And I think you came in on short notice tonight.
Well,
and I thank you for coming in, because I'm amazed at some of the stuff you're doing. And I know you got a split tonight, so I'm going to give you your paintings back, or I might put the arm on a couple of those.
Well, bless your heart.
Because I love your stuff, really.
Thank you. These things are available, incidentally.
Can actually be purchased for a coin of the realm.
I think we could very honestly work out something.
Few doubloons.
I'm very flexible. If you're a little short on cash, some ties, some shirts, a smart ring with a Masonic crest on it.
Only if I get a tour of the basement.
Okay.
Also.
All right. Thank you,
Johnny. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Funny man, talented.